Hey, welcome to It's Your Season with your host, Kim C. Bratten. Guys, we have for you today a fantastic artist. His name is Aaron Garrett from Artist Interiors. Welcome, Mr. Garrett. It's nice to have you here with us.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been doing art just about all my life, even since from grade school to now. And I've always been inspired by art from the great ones, from Michelangelo, people around the community, just art in general. Art in general to me was just something to let my wildest fantasies go run wild. You know, in reality, you can do one thing, but on paper, your reality is endless. It's like flowing water. You can constantly draw, create, and that can be your whole world. Because as a child, we always have this weird fantasy when we play with ourselves. You know, in our fantasy land, literally, we do that, and we can make those realities as we get older be for real.
That's right. Did you used to doodle a lot when you were little?
Oh yes, I doodled a lot, and I got in trouble in school because I used to doodle on the tables and stuff. And
did they make you clean it up?
Yeah.
Is your gift God-given or is it self-taught?
It's definitely God-given because I was doing it since I was basically very little. I was constantly drawing, and every time I drew something, I wanted to draw more and more and more and more. And before I knew it, I went through several black books, as we call it, the sketchbooks. I went through many of them, and before you know it, then I started getting into paints, the airbrushing, different media, wood, whatever. Everything was like something to build or to make it happen.
So when you first got out there, what were your hardest? Did you have any tribulations or any storms or trials you went through that you'd like to share?
Well, yes, I went through all types of trials and tribulations because when I was younger, what stifled me a bit, I used to suffer from asthma, and that set me back. But you know something? No, you kept moving on. You can't let nothing stop you.
That's right. Who's your favorite artist? Because my favorite was Michelangelo. It still blows my mind how he was on his back painting the 16 chapels. Who was your favorite artist?
Oh, Michelangelo was one of them, but I really like Norman Rockwell because an artist named Goodall, he used to teach us. He was one of the first black men to do Christmas cards, and when he showed me illustrations of Norman Rockwell, and just the stepping form of when he drew the bodies and stuff like it was impeccable to me. I really loved what I saw, and I started mimicking and started to draw like him. And then I got into more, how would you say, in architectural type stuff too.
So you like the art form Cubism? Cubism
is good, but Cubism was one thing, but I like the circles because Cube made it so square and jagged. Right. But with Cubism, you can always mold it and shape it to curl down some of the square lines.
If you could take one thing from an artist, a famous artist, whether it be Picasso, whether it be Michelangelo or Van Gogh, what would it be?
A technique of the anatomy to perfect it to its fullest, because the anatomy is endless. It has beautiful form and shape, and you can do just about any with it, because the human body is like a machine, and it can move and twist and bend. And when you master that, you can just about do anything.
That's great. What kind of mediums do you use in your art pieces?
Mediums, I moved on to the water-based colors, from house paints to acrylics, airbrushing, and so on. I've done a lot. I mix them all up sometimes. Sometimes you can mix an oil with a water base, but you can't mix them together. You can do them side by side, and you can still come up with some nice effects.
Now, this is what I wanted to ask you, because I find myself as an artist. Do you use like other things beside brushes?
Oh yes,
I use a potato. Or
I use whatever's around me. Paper bags, carpet. I use whatever can achieve that effect, because sometimes a brush is one thing, but like with a sponge or sea sponge, you can create different effects. Like you can create the marbleization effect. You can create very whatever the person may want. You may have to research it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, now, what type of what is your favorite piece that you ever did?
Oh, my favorite piece I've ever done, it was an abstract piece. I hated it, but everybody loved it.
Really?
And but there is one piece I'd still have at home. It's a picture of a flower. It's photorealistic. It has I blurred the back and I sharpened the front, and I did it with an airbrush, hand, and a piece of tissue.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Because the leaves are they have very texturized, and when you tear a piece of paper towel, the edges are unpredictable. A leaf has various ways of texturizing on top.
That's true. Now let me ask you, we all have different clients that we deal with. Has God ever gave you a specific vision for a piece that you know it didn't come from you, and after you finished it and completed it, the client was blown away?
Oh yes, sometimes when I get into children's rooms, sometimes I have a particular design or whatever, and it turns out to be something totally different. I'm like, whoa, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. But yet the end results, they're smiling, they're very happy, and they got what they wanted, and then some.
Now, if you had people to work with you, would you want somebody straight out of college or somebody already with the gift?
Both, because both parties, we all want someone who knows I'd rather prefer you with the gift because you will know. But the ones who don't know and come out of college, sometimes they can need a little help. But actually do it, that gives them a slight edge.
That's true. That's true. Let me see. Who do you pattern yourself most after?
Wow, a mixture of a gumbo. It's like various artists who I've ran into that I really like their artwork, and I got into it. I have a couple of friends. My friend Sheik, I like his stuff. These are like somewhat unknown but known artists. Franco the Great from 125th Street. I admired his artistic ways of doing all his murals down 125th, which is his gallery, and Michelangelo and a few others.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I really don't like giving years. Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
Seriously running my own company and doing murals and things for an interior design for children and older people.
Okay. Do you see yourself ever having a school to teach other children that might have the gift, or just teach them just to have fun in art?
Well, both are the same thing, because if they have the gift and they have it for fun, you're going to teach them both anyway for the skill. Even as fun is doing things fun is better. Know why? Because when you're doing fun, just like you say a song to a kid in school, I guarantee you he or she will remember it a lot better, it'll stick better, and they'll have more enthusiasm and hunger to do the job they need to do.
That's true. How would you want to be remembered in your legacy for other people to build on?
Oh, he was one bad...
Shut your mouth. If you could be a color, what color would you be?
Oh.
And it was a world full of just black and white.
A prism.
A prism.
A prism's not a color, that's a chamber for a color, because white light, I would be the rainbow.
That's beautiful. Who is your favorite author?
Author, it would be, I was going to say Arthur C. Clarke, but he's more of a sci-fi, because he was ahead of his time. He inspired people to do telecommunications, cell phones. He was way ahead of his time than some people thought about.
Tell me, let me see, what was your most favorite client that you worked for? What would name one thing to describe them?
Anal retentive.
Can you break that down a little bit?
Because a person who's anal retentive or very hard to please, those are the best people. Know why? Because they teach you patience, endurance, cleverness, and wittiness, and to teach yourself how to get the job done. Because if you can, it's like taking a cactus and grabbing it. If you can grab a cactus without getting stuck, that's an amazing thing.
That's true. What is your inspiration for what you do? What is your inspiration?
Love. This is my drug. I love doing what I do because it gives me satisfaction, it gives me fulfillment, and most of all, it gives me pleasure in watching a person smile.
Oh, that's beautiful. And what are your accomplishments? What would you like to achieve?
I like to achieve the sky. How high as I can go, I would love to go there and beyond, to just do...
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit, exactly.
If they had to do a movie on you, what would it be called?
The ever-endless brush.
Can you go into it a little bit for me?
But basically, the ever-endless brush is the brush that uses everything in colors and techniques and stuff like that, because when you do a project of an interior design or whatever, you're going to come against a whole lot of things, of people's thoughts, things, and you have to pick out a lot of things to create one picture or one living quarters or something that's going to help that person out live comfortably. Because anytime you do an edifice or an apartment or a house, remember, that person has to live there, so you got to make it as comfortable as possible, because when you get out into that world, it's crazy, and you need a headquarters or place to rest your head and be pleased and be very comfortable.
Have you ever used paper mache, and if so, what have you used it for?
Oh, paper mache, I used it for paint. You put the paint down, make sure it's wet, you wrinkle it up, you put the paint down, you put the paper mache down, you squeeze it, and then when you pull it up, you get a nice effect. Same thing with plastic. Right?
What kind of, do you know a name of a piece that you've done with that?
Oh, it's a piece, it was on a canvas. It was basically what it was a rose on a canvas that looked wrinkled, but it was straight.
Oh my gosh, that must have been beautiful. I just have to ask I have 7 fast questions to ask you. If you could give one piece of advice to a young up-and-coming artist, what would it be?
Go all out. Don't let nobody stop you.
Don't let nobody stop you?
No one.
Good. What do you value most in people?
Inspiration. Their thoughts. I'm going to pick their brains for whatever they have in there, so that way I can bring their their thoughts to reality.
Good. What do you see, how do you see yourself, if you were a piece of artwork, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as paper mache? And this is a very interesting question. Do you see yourself as paper mache? Do you see yourself as a spool of thread? Or do you see yourself, whatever pieces that you do, how do you see yourself? How would you see yourself as a piece of artwork?
Clay is moldable, shapeable. It can go any which way you want to. Remember, a stick can be sculptured, but a clay can be moved to whatever angle. And most shapes are basically, they have a shape, and you can shape different ways into it, but they have a shape. With clay, it's like you can throw it, you can do whatever, it's pliable.
Have you ever taught any classes, any workshops, or do you have any that you're going to do in
Yes,
the future?
I have taught children from K to 12 art. And the little they are, the more inspired I am, because basically those are I consider kids our replacements. So we can't take it with us. We got to show them all we can, because first of all, they're coming up behind us, and try to fill their head with positive, innovative ways of actually doing things to inspire their life and their fellow man and whoever else is around them.
I noticed when I used to teach, I love children because they're like a blank canvas. They're like sponges. They soak that stuff in. But when you taught adults, they were very closed-minded at times, and you have to like reshape them. How did you see that? Would you rather teach a child, or would you rather teach an adult if you had your choice?
If I had a choice, I'd go for both of them. Know why? Even though as you get older, sometimes you get rigid. Laughter brings out or breaks down certain barriers. That way, if you can get them to laugh, get them inspired into that, I guarantee you can actually change their ways. Like, I don't believe in an old dog. You can't teach new tricks. You can.
Do you remember your first piece in clay that you did in college? Because I can remember mine.
Yes, I did it. Well, I was into those elephant heads. I don't know why.
I remember when I had to do, my teacher wanted me to do a human head, so I made it look like a court jester. And he was like, "You didn't stick to the project, but I still got an A."
I still got an A, exactly.
But he was upset that I didn't stay to the human form. Did you find anything like that with your teachers? Did they want to limit your gift?
Oh yes, I was doing in an architect class. I wanted to do a roundhouse, because everything in this world is square. I wanted to get away from the squareness, and no matter how much they try to get me back into it, I would still keep away from it, and that infuriated sometimes.
Oh man! And the last thing is, if you could change anything about yourself, what would it be?
Whoa! Change anything within myself? Actually, I don't think I want to change anything. I just want to grow.
Thank you. You just want to grow. Well, I so appreciate you being on It's Your Season. It was a pleasure having another artist to vibe with, because it's so important. Artists is what makes the world look beautiful. And I so appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you very much.
So I'd just like to thank you guys for being on It's Your Season. This is Mr. Aaron Garrett from Artist Interiors. You'll see him again soon. And we just like to tell you peace, love, and happiness. Jesus loves you, and so do we. God bless y'all. Have a blessed day. Peace.